Hey there again, everybody. Welcome back to my Middle Fork series here. This is the part 2 of probably 3 or 4 parts here. Again, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It helped me out so much. Hit that subscribe button too if you haven't subscribed. And if you have a question or a comment, leave it down there in the comment section. I actually had a really awesome conversation with a guy in the last part about, what boat sizes I would recommend taking on the Middle Fork of the river, or Middle Fork of the Salmon. Ugh. River, salmon. Yeah, I think you get it. Anyway, awesome conversation with that guy. I won't go into too many details here. If you want to check the conversation out, go back to that last video, read through the comments. I think it was an awesome conversation, and hopefully this gave this guy some more information about boat size. Helped him make a choice about what kind of boat to take on the Middle Fork like this. So without further ado, we are going to jump right into this. First rapid we're going to go over here is actually Tappan Falls. It's the kind of the biggest of the Tappan family here, and it's if you watched my Maytag video or our reaction to the longest Maytag video anyway, this is the rapid it was in. And if you watch that, looking back at it myself, there's some stuff I said that was definitely my reaction at the time, but looking back at it now, I think other things about it. But I'm going to cover that over on the Northwest Rafting Company page with Zach and Aaron over there. So if you haven't checked that video out already, go check it out. I might have a bit of a highlight video up on that later, but we're going to go into this right now. So to start off with, this is an awesome setup for Tappan Falls here. Kind of over here on the right side is an awesome place to scout. Depending on the water level, again, this is a 4.8 foot float down or flow on the Middle Fork at the moment. So eddies could come and go. But good run here. Taking the Tappan Falls kind of right down the right side here. I shouldn't say right down the right side. I should say down the right side or on the right side. But it's a good spot, good positioning, and here we go. Yeah, I think it was a pretty good run there. The guys who got Maytagged actually were Maytagged over further on the left side. But, looking at that, that's a good, good spot to run it. If you can find that green tongue there. Hit the tongue and ride the gut, I believe it is. But, you're on that tongue and you just ride it out from there. Of course, on certain rapids, you might have to take moves in and out of there. But if you can follow that basic principle, you'll be able to run most rapids out there. But good spot to run this, and a good kind of a good push at the end there to help my boat up and over the wave there, and right out. So I think that was a pretty good run right there. Don't get too lax after the end of it because you do have a little another kind of whacker wave there, and kind of just down a corner or two is Cove Creek, which we're going to jump into next. So this is Cove Creek. This is the rapid, or like the biggest rapid right after Tappan Falls. Like I said before, don't get too lax or off your guard after Tappan Falls there. You got to be prepared for Cove Creek here. A bit of a left run here, and then kind of skirting back to the center of the river there because there is a rock down below there that I have a very special relationship with now. And before we go in there, I do want to make a comment of one of our kayakers who ran this with us. He had an awesome comment when we got to camp, or just shortly after this, where he was coming into this, and he simply said that he couldn't see because, from a kayaker's perspective, that is basically just a sheer drop-off. And you can kind of tell in the video there, there is a raft ahead of me, but all you can really see of it is the 2 riders and the kayak perched on the back of it. So it's a pretty steep drop at, this water level. Again, there you can kind of see the water really drop off there, especially in the hole over there, kind of right or center right. So that's the rock I was talking about, and as you can kind of tell, I didn't make it all the way over the rock or all the way around the rock, which is okay. You know, I talk to, you know, new boaters all the time, and, you know, I always tell them, don't be afraid of hitting rocks, because it's going to happen. And it does. But here's my kind of special relationship with this rock, and you can see it kind of right there. But my first private run down the Middle Fork, this is my 5th run on the Middle Fork, my 3rd commercial run, or my 3rd private run, excuse me. Did I say commercial or private before? This is a private run, and my first private run, I had a surprise with that rock. Anyway, my first private run on this one, the water level was lower, about 3.5 foot, and, you know, I did Cove Creek fine, got to this rock, didn't make it to the side of the rock like I did on this one, and I went straight over the top of that thing. And to me, it felt like a 6-foot drop off the other side, because, you know, the boat went there and then just dropped. And I saw the front end of that raft just tackle right up onto itself, and, you know, it was a solid hit. Thankfully, the rock was friendly enough where it didn't scratch the bottom of the boat. At least I didn't feel it scratch the bottom of the boat. And, you know, the hydraulic let us out. So, you know, that was very nice, that rock. And, you know, that's my special relation with that rock. The next private trip after that, I actually watched my dad do the same thing. So pay attention to that rock. The next 2 rapids, because they come in sequence here, are Haystack and Bernard, and they come after the Flying Bee Ranch. The Flying Bee Ranch, if you haven't run the Middle Fork, or if you're just getting some more beta on the Middle Fork, hopefully I'm giving you some pretty good beta on, you know, some rapids on the Middle Fork here. The Flying Bee is an awesome little stop on the Middle Fork. You know, if you're running light on, you know, water, you can refill water there. If you want to leave a message for, you know, a friend coming down, or if a friend left a message for you when you came down, you know, probably be there at the Flying Bee. Anyway, Haystack and Bernard are after that. There's nothing too big about them, but, you know, the upper one here, and I always forget if it's Haystack or Bernard and Haystack. Either way, the one on top here, or the one upstream anyway, is more of a boulder dodge than anything. So you've got these big boulders you got to avoid. So here's my run as we go. You can sort of see that I don't have my boat pointed, you know, exactly straight down the river. I'm kind of at a ferry angle, you know, I'm kind of trying to move it back and forth so I don't run over rocks, or, you know, get into a spot where I'm unable to maneuver my boat. There are certain rapids in some situations where I like my boat kind of at a ferry angle, and sometimes I'll overextend that and go perpendicular to the water, or the flow of the current anyway. And that's just so I can maneuver it back and forth a little easier. You know, there are pros and cons of this, but, you know, over the years, that's how I've kind of developed my oarsman skills. It's not to say that that's the technique I use all the time, because, you know, like I say, in some situations it works pretty well. In other situations it doesn't work very well, so you have to keep that in mind. I was looking back there because there's actually a kayaker behind me. If you were paying close enough attention there, there's actually 3 kayaks in front of me. There's actually a guy kind of tucked back there on the eddy on my right. And then there's another kayaker in the red boat there. And my mom is actually a jump ship from my boat and is running these rapids in her ducky. So I was so stoked to see that she'd finally warmed up and gotten into a ducky, or gotten, you know, to a spot where she could ducky comfortably. Like I said, that first one is a bit more of a boulder garden, I like to call them, or a rock garden. A bit more dodging around stuff. This next one, it's a little easier. You know, it's not as, you know, terrible. It's at higher water or at different water levels. I think, yeah, definitely higher water levels. This can be a little bit more scary. I did a trip at 7 foot, and I almost got bucked out of the boat on this lower rapid here. So, you know, if you're doing a high water trip, you know, the rapids change a lot. Yep, like I said before, not too difficult, just straight run really. It's at the higher water levels, you do have to watch out for the larger waves there. The time I almost got knocked out of the boat was at the 7 foot mark, and I was actually kind of riding along with a commercial company doing their training trip here, which was an awesome opportunity to do. But the boat I was in hit a wave, or a series of waves, one of which tilted it so far onto the right side that if I wasn't hanging onto a strap, I would have been flung into the water. So even it might have looked a little tame there, but the higher water level can make this a lot bigger of a rapid. And even in this water flow, flow here, you kind of saw my bow bag kind of bouncing around there a little bit. And I have a question for you actually concerning bow lines and bow bags. The majority of my boating experience, you know, I've had a bow line stuffed into a bag like that. It kind of resembles a you know, throw bag, although I wouldn't throw this to a swimmer. If somebody was on the bank and, you know, there was no easy way of stopping my boat in an eddy, you know, that's a different story. But, you know, do you guys keep your bow bags or bow lines in a bow bag, or do you coil it up and then tie that onto, you know, the bow or the stern of your boat? How do you guys do that? You know, leave that down there in the comment section, and tell me, you know, which one do you prefer? The next rapid here is called Redside, and as you can tell, there's kind of a couple of different ways you can go here. I have seen videos of people actually running through the center of the rapid here, and I'm not entirely sure, but I think that has to be done at a higher water level. What we're doing on this run is kind of taking that sneaky right run there, and as you can tell, the boat in front of me is already most of the way through that run right there. So that's kind of a sneaky way you can go. I think it's more of a lower water run before, a lower water run. Like before I said, you know, the video I've seen of people kind of running this upper route, I think is at higher water. I could be wrong though. I definitely have to go back and look at those. But we did that sneaky right run, which is basically just a one and done run, so it's nice. Right there, I was actually looking for a spot where, you know, the hydraulic wasn't as turbulent as least turbulent as I can find anyway. And when I usually do it, I look for a spot where there's either that kind of the green tongue or the green elevator, some people might call it, or in this situation, at least in the spot I chose anyway, the water was basically forming a V shape. So the water was basically coming in like this. And, you know, that could be a hazard in some situations, but in this situation, you know, with the water level coming in kind of up and over itself, I felt like that was the best spot to be in at the time. Again, if you guys disagree with me, please put it down there in the comment section. I'd love to talk to you about it. But, you know, in this run, it worked out really well for me. Like I said, one and done and you're through. You didn't really see me pushing too hard as we were coming over the crest of that. You know, I did a few little pushes at the top and, you know, kind of alternated my oars as I went through. I don't know if that's the official name for it or if galloping or whatnot is what it's called, but, you know, that's kind of how I did it. You know, one push and another push and the boat was up and over and, you know, everything was good. And you know, going this right run, you don't have to deal with kind of that huge hydraulic sitting there in the middle. You can just hit the one and done, and you're basically through with Redside. So you know, that's an awesome little sneak route. So this next one is called Weber, and it's a good, you know, example of what could happen if you don't get your boat straight going into something. There's a few other critiques I like to think about on this video as well, now that I've seen it a couple times, but it's a good example of what could happen if you don't keep your boat straight on a rapid, or if your boat goes a little cockeyed going through a rapid. So as you can tell right now, my boat is not straight. I mean, you could argue that the camera might not be, the camera's sitting on one side of the boat and it might not be portraying the boat as straight. But, you know, being there and, you know, actually going through this situation in my head again, my boat was a little, or at least the nose of my boat anyway, was a little cocked to the right. So there's that. And, yep, there goes. So that's an example of what could happen. You know, you could hit something so hard that the hydraulic or the water just shoves the nose of your boat, you know, that direction or this direction. And there goes my phone. Anyway, as you can tell, it shoved my boat to the right and, you know, put it up there on a pretty good angle. My mom was a superstar right there. I mean, I did my best to go up and high-side that sucker, so I was hanging onto the oar tower on the other side. My mom, you know, she almost put herself in the water, or I say she, it was me. I almost put my mom in the water, so, you know, kudos to my mom for, you know, still wanting to come boating with me, even though I almost threw her in the river for, if I did that, that would have been her third swim for the trip, I think. But, you know, that's kind of a scary situation. And as you can tell, the water level, or the water was coming up and over the side of the boat there, which I'm still impressed about, you know, putting a boat so high up on an angle that water is, you know, piling over the side of the boat already. You know, and also, you know, it happens more than not, but having it at such an angle after hitting that, and, you know, seeing this in my, after a couple of times looking at it now and just watching the amount of water coming over that side, yeah, it's a little scary. But, you know, I am thankful that this boat was a little heavy at the time, so, you know, it didn't go too far up, and, you know, it landed flat, at least on its belly again. So, you know, there's that to be thankful for. A couple critiques that I could have done a little bit better. I could have been more to the right side. I could have. There is that big calm spot right there that, you know, looking at it from here, it doesn't look too terrible to get into. And then looking back at it at the top, you know, I probably just should have been a little further right to begin with, because, you know, that would have put me kind of right on the edge of all this stuff and kind of right into that calm spot after that rock at the after the kind of the rock there. That would probably have been the better line to choose. And if I go back there, or when I go back there anyway, because I'm going to go back, that's going to be something I'm going to keep in the back of my mind is, yeah, there's a flat section when you're going through Weber, a little on the right side, so you don't have to basically face that big wave on the bottom there. All right, everybody, that was part 2 of my Middle Fork kind of review here. This is my past trip on the Middle Fork this year. If you like it, please give the video a thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button, and if you have a question or a comment, you know, leave them down there in the comment section, and I will catch you guys in the next video.